Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing really well. So first of all, I just want to apologize for the lack of consistency with my uploads. Many of you already know that my mum is staying with us from New Zealand right now, and I honestly thought that I would be just churning out the videos, but it's actually been quite the opposite. Mainly because we have just been in the moment, just enjoying this beautiful German weather, just enjoying spending this quality time together. She's here for a whole 10 weeks altogether, and she's actually got a month left with us, which is amazing. Normally she only stays for about a month, so it kind of feels like her time here is only just beginning, even though she's been here for 6 weeks, and we're just loving every moment of her being here. It's just been so special. Actually, something that's really cool about having mum here is the fact that I get to see Germany through mum's eyes. And I've lived in Germany for so many years now, and all of these little culture shocks and things that were so exciting and different and amusing to me just all seem very normal now because I live here. This is my life here in Germany, and it's really fun seeing mum's reactions to just little things, like everyday things here in Germany. So I thought, do you know what? I'm going to make a video talking about some regular, everyday, just normal German things that surprised my mum from New Zealand. She's actually outside right now playing with the kids. It's a beautiful day. They're having so much fun, and so she's not going to be in this video, but she has written a huge list of things that surprised her, little things that she noticed here in Germany that are different to New Zealand, and she actually writes a diary every single day about her experiences here and just what she gets up to every single day. It's so fun for me to read her diary. Maybe she'll actually let me read out some pages of different sort of culture shocks and cultural differences that she has come up with. But anyway, for now, I am going to talk about some of these little things that she wrote on this piece of paper here. So, okay, right at the top, something that mum always comments about is the church bells here in our area. I don't know if there are church bells all over Germany, but there are definitely a lot of church bells here in Lower Franconia, and mum loves the sound of the church bells. We don't live directly next to a church, but our closest church would be about a 5-minute walk, and you can hear the church bells every quarter of an hour here, which seems crazy, but it's just something I have become so used to. And it's not like full-on ringing every quarter of an hour. There'll be just like a little ring every quarter of an hour, and then every hour you'll hear the church bells ringing. Depending on what time it is, it will ring once if it's 1 o'clock, twice if it's 2 o'clock, 3 times if it's 3 o'clock, and so on and so on and so on. So it'll be dong, dong, and you know, when it gets to 10 o'clock, say 10 o'clock, you'll hear the church bells go crazy. Mum just loves this. She thinks it adds a really nice atmosphere, and you don't hear church bells like this in New Zealand, and so it just reminds her that she is in Germany, and she always comments on it. For me personally, the church bells are lovely, but they can get a little bit annoying, especially in our old place. We lived very close to a church, and the church bells were super loud all through the night, and it took me quite a while to get used to that. But where we live now, they're not super loud, which I much prefer. Okay, so something else mum's written, this is something she often will comment about, is the fact that homes are built very close to the road or pavement. She's not talking about every German home, but many homes in this area of Germany, especially the ones in the little villages and towns right in the old town or city centre, are directly on the pavement, and it is something that you do not see at all in New Zealand. Homes are never just right on the pavement in sort of public areas. So where I live, there is a gorgeous little historical town centre with cobblestone streets and cute little timber homes all in a row, and people actually live in these homes, which I think is amazing. Like, this surprised me so much when I first came to Germany. So there are the cute little homes, and then there is the public area directly outside the doorstep, and people are walking past and looking at the homes and taking photos, and these are real homes where people live, and it's always really surprising for mum. In New Zealand you would never see anything like this, but I have definitely seen this in other parts of Europe, in Italy, in France, even in Croatia. The homes are right on the pavement, like many of the homes in the old town areas and the old city areas, and I actually think it's really cool. I don't know if I would like to live in a home that is so close to a public area. I guess these people are just just used to it, and it's just part of the charm and the atmosphere of living in these cute little German villages and towns. Something else Mum's noticed this time around, and she keeps pointing it out to me, that is the overgrown grass and these sort of grassy areas in the verges and the public areas around the community. This is something she didn't notice at all maybe 6 years ago when she came to visit, but she's noticed a lot of these quite sort of unkept, wild, grassy areas, and she was wondering why they were not attended to. They're left long like this to attract bees and insects, so it's for environmental reasons. But you don't see this so much in New Zealand. Most of the public areas are trimmed really neatly, and the corners of the lawns are all just really neatly trimmed. And in Germany, they're not so pedantic about, you know, keeping these grassy areas really neat and tidy. Also in private gardens here, Mum noticed that people seem to let their lawns grow a little bit longer than they would in New Zealand, and gardens in general here are a little bit more wild, and Mum actually loves this. She loves the natural look of the gardens here, and so in New Zealand things are just a little bit more sort of ordered and, you know, these really tidy gardens. Not every garden in New Zealand, but you'll see a lot of these really structured, tidy gardens, and in Germany gardens just seem to be a little bit more natural, which I personally really like. Mum's actually been getting a little bit of inspiration from the German gardens, and she wants to have more of a wild looking garden patch at her home in New Zealand. She's been taking little photos when we go for our walks, and she's found lots of really great inspiration and, you know, cool ideas. Something else Mum pointed out which she really loves is all of the hedges which separate people from their neighbours. Unlike many of the lawns here, people take a lot of pride in keeping their hedges nice and tidy and trimmed, and in New Zealand, instead of having these hedges which separate the homes or separate you from your neighbour, we have fences. You kind of almost feel like you're caged in when you are in your backyard because of all of these fences, and having hedges just makes it seem a little bit more sort of natural, and just it's more appealing in my opinion to sit outside in your backyard and look at hedges rather than just like a tin fence or a wooden fence. Also, Mum pointed out that not only do people have hedges separating them from their neighbour, sometimes they won't even have anything at all. So if they live in, say, a row home, they don't have anything separating them from their neighbour, and people are just so respectful here in general that it just doesn't seem to be a problem. Here in Germany, this just doesn't seem to be something that is necessary. People will either have just a little hedge or they will not have anything to separate them from their neighbour. Something else Mum pointed out to me just the other day is when we are out and about going for our walks, just walking around the neighbourhood or at the playground, she hardly ever sees anybody just glued to their phone. And this is something that you see all the time in New Zealand. You'll see a lot of parents at the playground just engrossed in their phone and not paying any attention to their child. And this is something you barely ever see in Germany. Mum thought this was just amazing. She just said that it felt like people were more present with their children, with each other. In restaurants or in cafes, you don't see people glued to their phone. Maybe you will see the odd person, but it's not very common. And Mum really, really loves this about Germany, or at least the area of Germany where I live. If you're at the playground here in Germany, most parents will either be playing with their children or just sitting, watching their children, interacting with them, or they may be sitting on a bench talking to their friend, but they're still available and present. Of course, parents need a break, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't be allowed on their phone in front of their children, but there is a time and a place. And I'm not talking about if, you know, a parent just looks quickly at their phone, like checks a message and puts it away. I'm talking about when they are just sitting there for hours on their phone, ignoring everybody around them. That's what I don't like, and it's just something Mum noticed. People here are not walking around like zombies glued to their phones. So guys, I have come to the end of this video. I will be making a part 2 because Mum has written down so much here. There is so much more to talk about. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it, then don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. I would love you to consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. Feel free to connect with me on Instagram, and I will see you again really soon. Bye!